All right, welcome to Witchpolice Radio. I'm on the line on the internet in my forever home, apparently, because the pandemic's never ending. Uh, I'm on with someone who has been highly recommended to the podcast. Every few months, I like to ask people online who are following me on Facebook and Instagram and whatever social media, and say, who should I get on the show? What local artists would you like to hear on the show? And your name actually comes up quite a bit, and which is pretty cool. I mean, it's because I get a lot of suggestions, and a lot of them are just all over the place. But whenever there's someone who gets recommended, like two, three, four, five times by people whose taste in music I respect too, it's like, okay, well, maybe I need to look a little deeper into this person and into what they're doing. So I'm really happy to have you on the show. And I think that the best way to kind of kick this off is if you want to introduce yourself and just give a bit of background about what it is you do musically.
Sure. Yeah, of course. Thanks for that introduction. So my name's Caid Jones. That's my stage name. I'm here out of Winnipeg, Manitoba. I've been doing music about 5 years now. It's when I started out doing music, and but doing it kind of seriously now. I'm full time for the last full year. So
Oh, cool.
I started doing stuff with Studio 393 back in the day, and working with people like Charlie Feta, Ness, Patrick Skeen, and stuff like that, and then even just the peers like Osani and stuff like that. So getting to know the community that way was kind of my introduction into the Winnipeg music scene. And coming out of high school, with a kind of little bit of like a rough background and things like that, things weren't going so well. It was a really nice introduction to the music scene, and then just kind of from there kept doing music, and really inspired by the community aspect of what I've seen so far here in Winnipeg.
Cool. Well, it's cool you had the opportunity too to work with some of those guys who have been really well established for, in some cases, decades in the local music scene, in the hip hop scene in particular. And that's kind of an opportunity I don't think everyone has. I mean, who's starting out to get mentorship and just learn from guys like that who have kind of soaked up the culture and the music for so long. So that's a I guess a nice start, right? To have those guys kind of to bounce ideas off and work with.
Absolutely. It was really inspiring. Just how personable they were, ready to pull you off to the side, how many workshops kind of they had, and willing to throw in opportunities right away. Like I remember I had my first show at the West End Cultural Center.
Oh, cool.
And that was within about 3 weeks of meeting everybody down at 393. And so just kind of getting that vibe from everyone, like, and even though I was a beginner at the time, and it's kind of like, hey, these will grow your skills and stuff like that. And so it was definitely just inspiring seeing everybody kind of around, and people like Winnipeg's most, like Charlie Feta, being around there, definitely inspiring for sure.
Cool. Well, you mentioned at the beginning here that this is kind of your first year of doing it full time, and like you couldn't have picked a weirder year to do this. So how has this affected you, right? I mean, there's no shows for anyone, and people are dealing with the pandemic differently depending on who they are, what their life situation is, how they create. What has your experience been as an artist, in this very strange time where performing can't happen, or at least not traditional performing, right?
Definitely. So like I said, it's been about a year now throughout even the length of the pandemic, and it's been about a year since I've been doing music full time due to the pandemic.
Okay.
So I'm still working with graffiti art programming, but we have swapped up a lot of our programming and the way that we go about it, and the programming that we're doing with different youth. And so that provided me so much free time at the beginning of the pandemic to be able to do that. And then as well as, being grateful enough to be in certain situations that I'm able to get government assistance and things like that. So at the very beginning of the pandemic, I was really under a very grateful situation. And so I started doing music, kind of taking that opportunity to write, felt like I had a lot of time to do so. And surprisingly, I actually hadn't had an opportunity like that prior to the pandemic. And so, there's a lot of people that, have struggled really hard throughout this pandemic. And so I look at that and, I say that I've been in an extremely grateful situation to be able to have some opportunities where I haven't seen these opportunities before, you know what I mean? Or I haven't had a chance to have this much time to focus on my art or my craft. And so it's been really exciting, and I'm grateful to have that time. And it's benefited too with the growth as an artist. I've been able to grow and learn new things this year that I haven't learned, and put them into effect and things like that. And so I've actually had a couple opportunities. There's a company called Taking It Global out there, and they, at the beginning of the pandemic, started up a project and an app called Create to Learn.
Okay.
And so Create to Learn went and they got a bunch of creators from across Canada that were skilled in certain areas. So audio production, whether it would be filming production, beat production, all sorts of things. And so if you're skilled in something, we would do a video series, and then they would promote that to youth across their platform.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So we all got an honorarium for that, which was really neat. It was an opportunity I hadn't had prior, and they had started the project up due to the pandemic as a way for people to connect at home with these video series. So I think little things like that, looking at ways that companies have innovated as well. And I've really seen a lot of support in the arts industry due to this pandemic. I've seen people, understanding that artists get a lot of their income from this, get a lot of our income from shows. And so I've seen a lot of the support actually get a little amplified because people understand that. People understand that community aspect and what it means to the community. Yeah. So I guess, long story short, it's been very grateful for the pandemic. And I've had a lot of free time to be able to work on a lot of the craft that I want to develop going forward.
That's cool. That's a very different story than a lot of people I've heard. So I'm glad to hear that there are some people who are, managing to thrive during this, because a lot of people are bummed out. And I mean, understandably, right? But yes. It's nice to hear that there's still avenues for people to be creative and find ways to kind of develop their art and take it from there during this crazy time. So
absolutely,
I'd heard your name a few times before. Like I said, people recommended you as a potential podcast guest. I definitely looked into your stuff, what I could find online after that point. But the first time I really kind of became aware of what you were doing was a music video you did, which is a very Winnipeg-centric music video. And that one was kind of I was like, oh, okay, now I get what this guy is, what you sound like it, and where you're coming from and everything. And so how did you put that together? Because for an independent artist too, that's a very kind of the video. It looks really good. Like, it looks very, very pro. And that's because technology has made it so easy for people to make videos, basically even with their phone, right? It's cool to see someone who's essentially starting out putting together something so professional looking, and it's got a storyline. It's obviously there's a lot of thought and effort and energy put into creating that, I imagine, anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. So big shout out to Eric Curtis Peters. He was the guy who helped me film that. He's down at Unreal Creative now. But so basically I had been put together the song, a couple of months prior and things like that.
Yeah.
And I just knew that I really wanted to get a video out for it. I hadn't had too much plans yet as to how I was going to do it, but I started out with just a little bit of, asking around and seeing in the community who might fit my vision, and which creative filmmaker might fit with this vision that I have. Okay. So I did my research, and I stumbled upon Eric Curtis Peters. He had done a couple of videos for Fresh IE.
Okay.
And and so I thought he did a beautiful job on the song Beautiful People with Fresh IE and a couple others. And so I had messaged him my vision, and we actually sort of just clicked right away. And so like I had said, due to the amount of time that I had, I spent some time, planning out this video on my own time before I had gone to any videographer and sort of putting in a budget in place and these sorts of things. And a big ode to the community aspect, like I had said, is I had gone around just asking people, what would be the best way if I were to put together a video, what would be the best way to market it or present it or things like that. And asking around to just people within the community. And so once I had found, me and Eric had that instant connection. We just did filming around downtown. And I remember I had, this is my first one that I had directed. So I had just taken time to write it all down kind of on a paper, the whole vision, the whole story. And then, like I said, shout out to Eric. He had come with his ideas as well. And so we actually was sort of a co-directed kind of thing, but he had come and really portrayed the vision that I had in a really good way. And so worked together really smoothly. And then I've actually never had a video up before, other than a little cipher that I had done with my buddies about a year and a bit ago. And so we had, I was really excited to kind of get this debut out. And then even afterwards, I was just blown away by the reception of it. I had people just messaging saying, oh, I saw this here. And I was like, what, you saw that there? And so it was really, really awesome to kind of see that. And like I said, big shout out to the people I had talked to beforehand on kind of what avenue I could take. And so Winnipeg's that kind of city, or it has been, at least for me, right? I would ask people somebody like Alan Gray Eyes, who's a staple in the community,
Okay. Yeah.
has done lots of things with tons of artists all over the place. And I had just, asked him a simple question through email, blah, blah, blah. What do you think is the best way to go about marketing these sorts of things? And I had done that to a couple of people, and a big shout out that they were willing to sit down and talk and, say that, maybe this plan that I have isn't the best, and, maybe this might work better. And so just being able to learn this year has been one of the best things, and making that video was a huge learning process as one of my first videos on just connecting and, marketing, all the other things behind it. So
yeah, which is all part of it now too, right? I mean, especially the internet makes things much easier for people to produce their music and get it online and share it to everyone. But now that everyone's doing that, you have to also learn how to market yourself, how to sell yourself, how to basically be a promoter and a marketer, and all these other things on top of being an artist, right? So it's cool that you were able to get some of that experience and do some of those things. And what I was going to say, there are two things that I find striking about the video. The first thing is just the kind of like wealth of really recognizable downtown locations. Like, you definitely have captured all of these spots that I think anyone who's lived in Winnipeg for any amount of time will recognize immediately, right? And so it's like so dripping with Winnipeg, which is great. I love seeing that. And like, I don't think you can mistake it for anywhere else, right? It's just a very, very purely Winnipeg video. And then
for sure,
sonically, the thing that struck me the most about the song itself was that the way you rap is very, I like how you leave the breaths in. I think that makes sense. Like, I know a lot of people would remove that. And
yes,
it seems like an aesthetic choice. I don't know if it is or not, but it definitely adds to kind of the urgency of the song. And I think that like it's a fast song anyway. You have a lot to say in the song, and I think it kind of leaving those breaths in there just makes it. It works so well with the speed and the just the emotion of the whole thing, especially when combined with the visuals.
I think you're totally right. And so even going now, I guess, into the process of that song, I had made that song or recorded that song. Give or take now about 9 to 10 months ago. So I'd recorded that song, and so unfortunate, my producer, he had his laptop stolen out of a car, and we were just kind of finishing the song. We were almost finished, and he had just gotten it stolen, made the big mistake of not backing it up, right? Big mistake, not going to do it again.
Yeah.
And we were just about finished the song. I had the demos, I had the things, and we had gotten together just kind of, I'd say about a month before I was planning to start filming that video. We'd gotten together again to re-record that song. And I hopped in the studio, and I just did not like the energy that I hit that night. I kind of went at it for, an hour and a half, a little bit longer. And I didn't like the energy that I hit with the way that I hit that song that night. And so I'm listening back to the version that we have, and I extremely liked that energy that I had come to the studio with, and that I had laid down on that track, that very first version. And so I decided to run with it, because I had actually, count or put a couple of things ahead of me before, like handling them, like in terms of, going about my EP. Like I said, it's been a big learning process. So I was already in the process of setting up that video shoot. So I needed to get the song done. It's not like I could have, not like I could have stopped recording, right, and just taken the time with it. But I had looked at the old version. I was like, what? That's the energy that I want. That's the energy I hit. And then I even thought the same thing to myself, a couple bit of like, the inner self, like all those breaths, people are going to do this, people are going to say this about it and stuff like that. But like personally, like the energy in it is just raw, and it's the way that I wanted to come across on that. And I heard the new versions I did with the breaths cut out and whatever it was, and I didn't like it. And so we ran with the old version that we had. And I really appreciate you saying that. Say, the breaths here and the breaths there and that, which is good. You have to take the criticism. I have to take the criticism.
Yeah.
If I am doing that, but breaths are easy to cut out. Most artists, like you said, cut the breaths out, right? But it adds that level of just rawness to it.
It does. It does for sure. Well, yeah, I figured it was probably done on purpose, because at first it was kind of like, oh, the breaths are here. You don't hear it much, right? And then kind of as I listen to the rest of the song, it like I said, it adds to the tension almost in the song, because it sounds like you're running while rapping basically, right? And there's a lot of scenes in the video while you're running, so yeah, it totally suits it.
Cool.
So yeah. Now that you're kind of more established, you've been doing this for a while now, what is your impression of the local rap scene? Because I mean, the reason I ask this too is because I'm old, and my version of what the local rap scene is like probably 15, 20 years out of date, in the sense that I grew up listening to all the Peanuts and Corn guys, and people like you mentioned, like Ness and Pipskid and Rob Crooks and all those guys. That was kind of the era when I was going to rap shows a lot, was late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah.
And so things have changed. Obviously, there's so many different sounds happening now. There's so many different styles and different kind of even venues and groups and everything. But what is your impression as someone kind of newly coming into this local community? How do you feel about the Winnipeg hip hop scene?
Honestly, I think it's amazing. I think it's wonderful. So many people are so talented out here. So many people are so creative and so driven, and I think that they really embody the intro that I had to Winnipeg's music scene. And the intro I had, like I said, was community oriented. It was, there for others oriented, there to put on the city oriented. And I think that even the young guys, everybody I've met, everyone that's coming in, they embody that in their own ways. They embody that when they bring their own things to the table. They're all looking to put on for the city. They're all, and just shout out really to everyone doing their thing. Like here, we just got a new studio down at the Argyle.
Oh, cool.
And it's just such a great energy down here. Shout out to everyone in the halls. We got Javon, he's an artist here in the city. We got Foreign, and we got Andrew here next door, Andrew Ledoux. And just everyone's so nice. Like Andrew had come by and, hooked us up with a bit of foam that he had and soundproofing equipment. And so, like, without any questions asked, just had said that he had extra stuff laying around. And it's just like, I think that's like, just speaks to Winnipeg. Like I've been kind of meeting, people here and there now in the city and in Winnipeg, and man, everybody's there to be a support if you're genuine as well. If you're genuine, you go out there and be genuine and show your support as well. And obviously don't fake your support who you actually like you're genuine with and who you like. But like people are there for the city, and like I don't see anybody beefing each other. Like I don't see people coming really at each other's necks or trying to take up each other's space. They see and respect what people got going on, and I really respect that. I like that. And one thing that I had been told back in the day, but now I'm getting the glimpse of it, and the full glimpse of it was, Winnipeg's not too big and it's not too small. And now I'm getting the glimpse, when you come into the art scene, almost all of us know each other within the art scene. Almost all of us know each other. And then that art scene is connected to the photography scene. And then we all know each other, and then they're connected. And so we're not too small, we're not too big, and everyone has a really good connection. And I've really noticed a good common goal of community.
That's cool. That's good. It's good to hear, right? Because I mean, the city is always growing, and there's always new people coming in and being born here, even, and everything, right? And like it's nice to see that that's still a thing, because I think that's one of Winnipeg's strengths as a music scene, anyway, regardless of genre. I mean, like I grew up in the punk scene mostly, and some of my best friends today are still people I met when I was 15. In the punk scene, I'm almost 40 now, so there definitely is, and everyone, right? Once you meet someone, you're connected in some weird Winnipeg way, where if you see them 10 years later, it's like, oh, hey, remember that show that happened, and it's cool that that's still happening. I'm glad to hear it, for sure. Do you think that there's, maybe this goes back to your video a little bit, in the sense of really highlighting Winnipeg and focusing on these buildings and streets and things that are, very specifically here. But do you think that Winnipeg has a sound, whether it's something specific or just something that subtly comes through in Winnipeg artist music? Because I'm probably biased because I saw the video, but I feel like hearing that song, I would maybe be able to place you as a Winnipeg artist. I don't know if I could, and the video might be clouding my judgment there, but I think there's something, and I've never been able to put my finger on it, what it is about Winnipeg artists, from whatever background, from whatever scene. There's something, though, I think, and I've been trying to figure it out for years.
Definitely. And I think what it is it's heart. Like, we got a lot of heart. You know what I mean? I think that's what it is. Our artists have a lot of heart, and our artists care about what we do. Yeah, we care about our community, and we've come from a lot of different experiences, and so I think a lot of our artists carry that too to the middle. And I think we do have a sound. It doesn't necessarily have to be audio wise. Right? Like we pinpoint that audio wise, but I think that definitely, like, our artists have a lot of heart to put into their stuff, and it's not something you see all the time out of everybody out of every city. So.
Do you think it has something to do with Winnipeggers having a strong bullshit detector for being able to figure out if someone's being inauthentic, especially in hip hop, right? Because I remember, this again is years ago, but I remember going to shows, and I was 18 or whatever, and there'd be 10 rappers on the bill, and the ones that sounded like they were from Winnipeg and talked about things that our Winnipeg things and seem genuine. I always like them way more than you get one guy coming in trying to be from New York, and it would just fail because you can see through it. I mean, it's not a matter of skill. It's just a matter of like, why not just be yourself and speak to, situations that you can relate to and that probably listeners can relate to as well, right?
I definitely think so. Yeah, no, Winnipeg. I've had a lot of people, like, I haven't traveled lots for long periods of times.
Yeah.
But like, I've had just tons of people tell me they love the vibe in Winnipeg when they come through, and all sorts of stuff. And so just little things, gaining little perspectives and little notions here and there. I'm gaining, this thing about Winnipeg, and even what I feel just in my heart is, definitely agreed with you. Yeah.
What is kind of, now that the pandemic is still happening and no one knows when shows are going to happen again, what's sort of your plan for the near future? Do you have, I'm assuming you're still working on music and you just put out a single quite recently. So I get the feeling you're still pretty active, but what's sort of the goal for the next few months?
Of course. So we're working on a lot of things right now. We, of course, just dropped this new single. I'm really excited. I'm working with a new team at Birthday Cake Records, or
cool.
Birthday
Okay.
Cake Media.
Yeah.
Not sure if you've heard of them yet. So they're just so genuine, great group of people. And I'm really excited. This is the first song that I've dropped with them. And so I'm just like so excited to kind of be working with them. And this will be the final single off my EP. So my EP will be coming out. We don't have a date yet, but I'd say a month and a half, right? And I'll start marketing and, of course, giving people the date when it comes out.
Yeah.
But the EP is coming right away. And that'll be my debut. So debut EP, of course. And then right around that same time, I'm working on just a small little introduction, sort of artist biography documentary.
Okay,
little
cool.
introduction to my story. It'll be like a 8 to 10 minute kind of video, just kind of stating what I'm about and things like that. And hopefully getting that out to the world, or more of the world, just to get people to connect more more with my story and why I do music, and just things like that.
How important is that to you, having that kind of backstage access almost to like just finding out what you're about and where you're coming from? Do you think that kind of will contribute to people's appreciation of the music?
I think it's so important, just to be as vulnerable as possible. And music aside, like, how I want to approach it is going or with music, I guess, and not music aside yet, but I just want to be as vulnerable as possible in the industry, to show people that it's all right to be vulnerable, and it's okay to be authentically yourself. That especially how many people are in the world right now that if you put out a sound and you put something out, there's going to be people there that genuinely appreciate it or genuinely relate to it.
Sure. Yeah.
So it's important that to me, I put out my story, put out the things I've been through, put out the vulnerability, because personally, like, music saved.
Just lost you. Let's see if he comes back. All right, he comes back. Technical difficulties. Hey.
Hey there, I'm so sorry. My phone actually just died. It didn't give me a notification.
No, it's all good. No worries.
Cool.
I will.
But no, yeah.
Go ahead. Keep going.
Sweet. Yeah, I was just saying it's super important that they connect with that, because music saved my life growing up around the age, 13, 14.
We got some more
getting access to the correct tools in life, and so I had listened to artists.
I don't know if you can hear me, but we're getting some glitches happening here.
Well, with how they
Gone again. All right, let's try overtime. Hopefully, you can pop back in and we can keep going with this, because it was a good conversation that was happening. Let's see if he shows up again here. Stupid technology, eh? There we go. Hey, you're back. Sorry, you cut out a couple times.
I'm so sorry.
It's all good.
I am so sorry about this. It's our Wi-Fi, and my phone did give that notification, so my bad.
It's all good. No worries. Well, we can start to wrap this up soon here anyway, just so we don't lose you again. But what's the best way for people to hear your music at this point? I mean, I know you said the EP is coming out in the relatively near future. If someone wants to check out your video or hear your new single or hear everything else you've done so far, what's the best option?
Ooh. No, our internet. I heard most of that. Okay. And where can they find my music, and when's the EP coming out?
Well, no,
Where can they find that?
where can they find whatever you have out at
Cool.
at the moment, and then later when the EP's out, where can they find that too?
Of course. Yeah. So you can find all my stuff just on like any streaming platform, obviously Spotify, Apple Music, and then YouTube. I'm really a fan of making sure that my music's accessible to everybody, making sure you don't have to pay for it or whatever. So making sure it's on YouTube or finding a way that it's on every site, right? And we have
Yeah.
Bandcamp as well. And so just making sure it's accessible to anyone. Just search up Caid Jones and it should come up. And if it doesn't, you can type in like the song Stay Woke, or even on Instagram you can type things in like that, Caid Jones, and it should come up. And if you do check it out, I'm really, really appreciative.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad we could do this. Even with the Wi-Fi troubles, it's nice to talk to you, and I really dig what you're doing. I'm looking forward to hearing the EP, and it's nice for it's nice to hear people doing new things in hip hop in Winnipeg that seem to have a lot of depth and a lot of soul and heart to them. So keep doing what you're doing. It's really cool, and I appreciate you giving me the time today.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so appreciative that you had me here, and it's been really great to share my story. And you're such a great guy, and I've seen what you've been doing. Spreading around your perspective of the industry, and bringing in different artists, and giving people the chance and a shot, and spreading their story and stuff. And so, definitely shout out to what you're doing, and thanks for having me on. It's much love and totally lots of respect.
Right on, man. Thanks again.